Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again, and this is yet another one of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over there. This one in particular was given to me by Miles, so a huge thank you to him once again for making this review possible. This time though we're not going to go to Connecticut, we're going to go one state over into New York, to the upstate, what is termed as the upstate area, and this, from what I gather, is one of the really up and coming upstate New York breweries, and hopefully we'll see these guys over in Europe soon, because they have fairly recently just upscaled considerably. So for this one we're going to go to a little place called Elizaville, and we're trying my first beer from Sloop Brewing Company. This one is the Cloud Jumper New England IPA, and it comes in at 6% ABV. So really looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. This one's very highly rated, I think at a 3.96 when I had a little quick look on Untappd earlier, but really looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Sloop Brewing Company. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Sloop Brewing then, so on to my brewery notes. So Sloop Brewing were founded back in 2011 by Adam Watson and Justin Taylor, and the pair were initially brewing beer out of a garage in Poughkeepsie, and they were selling it at farmers markets, and they'd homebrewed for a total of about 4 years before they started the company, and they'd met while studying together at the State University of New York at New Paltz, and today Adam looks after the sales and business side of the brewery while Justin is the head brewer. So they opened their first production facility in a Dutch post and beam barn in Elizaville in New York back in 2014. This is about halfway between Albany, which is the state capital in New York of course, and Poughkeepsie, and they started off with a very small 3 BBL system. Over the following years they continued to expand, and they won a gold medal for their American sour, which was called Confliction, at the World Beer Cup back in 2016. In 2018 though, they moved to a new 25,000 square foot facility in the old IBM campus in East Fiskhill, and this brewery is equipped with a 120 barrel brew system, so they're working to get this up to capacity at the moment so they can increase the distribution of their beers. They said that they're aiming to kind of get their beers into, you know, quite widely into restaurants and things like that across the northeast, the New England part of America. But this brewery is named after the old boats that used to move people and cargo up and down the Hudson River, the sloop boats. But as of June 2019, they've produced around 85 different varieties of beer, most of which seem to be IPAs and sour beers. But when I looked through the list on Untappd, there was a couple of like sweet stouts and things like that in there as well, but mainly an IPA and sour brewery, as a lot of these new breweries are these days. So yeah, really cool to come across another brewery, one that is pretty new actually, only really in full tilt operation since 2014, so about 5 years old, and hopefully making their way across to Europe very soon. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery for the moment. If you want to read a little bit more, you can check out the brewery website, and you can follow them on Facebook and Untappd and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery and all the latest beer releases. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. So as I told you at the start of the video, this one is a 6% New England IPA. It says on the side here that there is no boil hops added to this one, so I'm guessing that this one is just simply dry hopped actually, so that should be really interesting. So there you can see, there is the Sloop Brewing Company symbol. It says underneath here, brewed and canned by Sloop Brewing Company, Hopewell Junction, New York, and it's a 6% alcohol by volume, 1 pint, India Pale Ale with flaked wheat, malted wheat and hops from the Southern Hemisphere and Pacific Northwest. No boil hops added. So yeah, quite a nice sort of almost hippie style artwork, this one, I have to say. I do quite like the artwork that's on this beer, but like I say, 1 US pint, we can get rid of the brewery notes for the moment. So this one will be 473 millilitres for those of us who measure things in real people measurements, metric system. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. I'm really curious to see how this one turns out, because Miles did tell me that this is one that he thought was really pretty damn good actually. So yeah, and as soon as you open up this beer, you do get a nice waft of malty character out of it. I can see one or two. There's little pieces of sediment in this coming out just as we open up the can there and pour it out. So yeah, if I hold this beer up to the light, I can see that it's a very nice, hazy, almost kind of, it's a really nice kind of hazy, bright yellow colour, this one. It's almost like pineapple juice or something like that. It's really quite nice in terms of its colour. There's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head on this one. It's not creamy or anything, definitely a perfect white head. If I hold my fingers behind the glass, you can see there is a nice, just hazy quality to this one. There's very little in terms of transparency to that, quite opaque in its appearance. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall, looks really nice. Nothing particularly surprising about this beer when you consider it is a New England hazy IPA. So let's take a closer look at this aroma then and see how we get on. But I can tell you straight away, your smell, that there's some really lovely juicy fruity notes coming out of this, but the malty side of the beer does have a really good presence to it as well. And I'll tell you straight away, this is one of the aromas that really leans towards the juicy fruity side of things. So for me, there's some lovely mangoes in the aroma there. I think there's, I think this might have Galaxy in it, to be honest with you, because there's a good bit of passion fruit and pineapple in there, and that's what Galaxy is going to give you. I'm not sure if there'll be any New Zealand hops in this one. New Zealand hops, of course, are very rarely used by American breweries in my experience. A lot of the Southern Hemisphere hops that they'll be using will, to be honest, be Galaxy or a couple of other ones from Australia, because they're produced in bigger volumes than the New Zealand ones, other than Nelson Sauvin and stuff like that. The other one it could be is Enigma, right enough. Enigma's getting quite popular these days, and it's a lovely red curranty, green grapey hop. That I love that one. But yeah, for me, the fruity side of this beer, definitely mangoes in there, definitely a little bit of passion fruit, some pineapple too, maybe a little bit of a kind of papaya thing going on as well. It's interesting that you can pick out, I was thinking when it said there was no boil hops added to this one, I did wonder if you're going to really get a green side of things, but when you breathe this, or when you take the aroma in of this beer quite deeply, you do still get a nice little kick of a floral quality out of this one. If I was guessing, I would say that this beer is most likely to have Citra and Galaxy in it. I'm not sure, there might be another one or two in there. But I think the two that I can say I'm pretty sure are in there are Citra and Galaxy, just because of the way the mangoes are coming out. The beer has a little kind of gooseberry lychee kind of subtlety, and again, to me, that would suggest that there's a little bit of there's definitely Citra in here. The other thing that could be, if you're getting the likes of gooseberries, it could also be green grapes, which may well be Enigma or even Nelson Sauvin. But yeah, the fruity notes in this one are very nice, but to me it's really leaning towards mangoes, a little bit of mangoes, pineapples, a little bit of passion fruit. It's really leaning towards that end of the spectrum. But yeah, the fruity notes in this one are very, very nice. So as I always say, take a bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, in terms of the malty side of this beer, lovely big white bready base to it. You can pick out some of the oaty creaminess in there as well. The wheat really has this lovely smooth quality to it, I have to say, and I like the way that there's a little bit of a malty sweetness in there. There is just a little touch of a biscuity malt to this one as well, balancing it out with some sweetness. So yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But we're going to have a taste of this one now and just see how we go on. I think this one will be a little bit unusual compared to other ones. So this is the Cloud Jumper, a New England style IPA coming in at 6% ABV. From Sloop Brewing Company in Elizaville, originally in Elizaville. What was the name of the other place this one was from now? The Hopewell Junction, upstate New York. Thank you again to Miles for making this review possible. Let's have a taste of this one and see how we get on. Slàinte Skål. Ooh. Now, that's really quite nice. This beer actually, it's very, very smooth in terms of its mouthfeel. It's almost smooth to the point where it feels really light actually. This is one of these New England IPAs that's almost really quite easy to drink, to be honest with you. It really is a very easy-going, sessionable beer, this. yeah. This one, I'll say straight away, this gets a thumbs up from me. I can see why this one is really highly rated. I like how everything is kind of is going together in this one. So let's try and break the flavour of this beer down just a little bit. There's one thing in my head though, I do wonder if I've maybe served this just a little bit too cold perhaps. It does, I think this one would thicken up a little bit if it was just a little bit higher in temperature, so we'll see how we get on with this as we go forward. But yeah, straight away with this beer you can feel that really nice smooth wheaty quality, just blanket in the middle of your tongue. Now the middle of your palate does dry out a little bit the further you go into the aftertaste with this beer, and you can feel a little touch of a grainy quality just pushing its way out of that, but mainly the base in this beer is very, very straight up wheaty. There's a little touch, I don't think there's too much in the way of an oaty creaminess this one. You can pick out, if you go into the middle of your palate a little bit, there is a little touch of a slightly oaty creaminess there, and in the very centre of your tongue it's just a little bit lighter and more biscuity actually. Yeah, it's a very kind of straight up malt base, this one, rather than anything. There's nothing overly complex about it actually, so yeah, pretty much just a bit of wheat. It dries out later on and you get some oaty notes in there, and mainly just a little tiny touch of biscuit. There is maybe a little touch of a slightly vegetally herbal kind of thing going on there that shows a little bit more in the aftertaste as well. And you've seen how long it was since I took a sip of this beer, and I'm starting to get that now. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate you've got a nice little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward on the tongue there, there's a little bit of there's a little bit of herbal quality in there as well, but right towards the front corners of the palate it does show a little bit of a floral quality to it, but mainly it's nowhere near it's hardly got, I don't think this has actually got any IBUs to it, to be quite honest with you. And I mean, if you only dry hop a beer, then you're not going to get any IBUs out of it, because it's always the earlier in the boil, the more IBUs that you're going to have out of the beer. That's the main thing. You always add them about the hour mark, and it's the main hour and then the last kind of half hour that you get these bitter notes out of the hops. But I mean, there is a little touch of IBU to this one. Round the very front curve of the palate, you do get a little touch of grassiness to this beer. And behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And again, for me, this one is kind of what I was expecting, to be honest, from the aroma. So at the back of that oily bubble, there's a little bit of that kind of darker passion fruity note there. Definitely more of a passion fruit than a grapefruit, I would say. So a nice little bit of a kind of darker passion fruit. You know, as you come further forward from that, you start to get the more mango notes, which will be from the citra. The passion fruit, of course, I think are likely to come from Galaxy. As you come a little bit further forward from that, the beer starts to become a little bit more sort of pineapple-y. There's maybe a wee touch of papayas or something in there as well. And on the very front tip of your tongue, maybe some gooseberries and lychees. You know, some of these little complexities and things like that. And I mean, this is one of these beers that's really well crafted, but it's not doing anything particularly surprising with the style, to be quite honest. Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really solid. And that rating it has, I think it was 3.96. It had when I checked it out on Untappd. It's fully deserved. It's a really bloody good New England IPA, this one. So if you get the chance to try this, check it out. You're certainly not going to be disappointed with it. What I would say is that it is a little bit unique in the way that things go together, and it is quite strange to have this one that has, you know, virtually no IBUs to it, because the edge of your tongue, it just feels a little bit wrong almost. It just feels a little bit strange, the fact that you don't have a nice sort of floral aromaticity or slightly spicy quality backing it up. So it's a really interesting blend of flavours that's going on in this one. So just, you know, try it for yourself and just and see what you think. But I like how everything in this beer goes together. As I say, nothing overly surprising about the style, apart from the fact that you don't have so much in the way of floral and grassy notes coming out of this one too much. Mainly in the aftertaste you'll get a little bit of those. The aftertaste, you start to feel a little bit of the kind of drier centre of your palate and more of the the kind of floral side of the beer pushing its way out, which is nice. But overall, it's a really nice, quite easy drinking New England IPA, this one, I have to say. So yeah, this one, I like it. I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, and it does make me curious about some of the other ones that they're doing. But there is a little bit of a vegetal kind of herbal thing in the centre of the palate too, which is interesting. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would describe this one as a fairly light-bodied New England IPA. This one's definitely at the top end of light-bodied. Carbonation does have a little bit of a prickle to it, but it smooths out for the most part. The mouthfeel overall, I would say, is quite smooth. There's a little bit of wetness in there. In terms of bitterness, I think you're looking about maybe 10-15 IBUs at most for this beer. The bitterness, I think, is coming a little bit from the malt base, the grainy aspect of the beer. There is a little touch of IBU to this beer, but very, very little, to be quite honest with you. There's a nice juicy fruity note to this one. It's quite a darker juicy fruity note. The more and more you drink of this beer, I'm starting to find that it leans a little bit more towards the passion fruity side of things, which is good, but then it's the juicier aspects of the fruit come out more in the beginning, to be honest. So yeah, and I would say the malt base, little touch of sweetness to it, but mainly quite smooth. But overall, a really interesting New England IPA. This one different from the other ones that I've had, but you know, it's very good quality, and I recommend that you have a look at this one for yourself and just see how you get on. So yeah, it's been really cool to review another new and kind of upcoming New York brewery. We're getting a lot of the beers from kind of the New York City area at the moment, so it's cool to try something from a different part of New York State. And as I've always told you on the channel, for me as a European to try, you know, these different craft beers from different parts of America is always a little bit of a novelty. And I know that even in the US it's difficult to get a hold of some of the beers from different states, just because of all the different laws that you have in different states too. The distribution laws can be a little bit strange. So yeah, really cool to be able to review this one, and thank you again to Miles for making this review possible. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Sloop Brewing Company as well, and hopefully I can return to these guys in the fairly near future. This one was the Cloud Jumper, a New England IPA at 6% ABV that was really unusual in the fact that it hardly had any IBUs to it at all, but a really nice blend of flavours. Nothing surprising about this one, but it's just very, very well crafted, and you know, you can't go wrong with that. But thanks again for watching. Check out my social media, and I'll catch you guys later. The Cloud Jumper from Sloop Brewing Company in upstate New York. Until the next time, it's Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, Skull, thanks again to Miles. Cheers.